It is in fact April Fool's Day today, and in the GD community, the thing that we get hyped for the most on April Fools is what's the level that RobTop's going to put as the daily or weekly. RobTop always puts some funny level on for these events every year. We've seen Bloodlust be put on, we've seen 9 Circles be put on, we've seen stuff like Congregation get put on because of a certain meme. It is just a very fun day for the community and for everyone to get confused when every single list does stupid changes. And today was no different. This April Fool's, our level was Level Devil, and this is a pretty much just a joke platformer level where it's one of those ones that everywhere you think is safe is not safe, and the level's just a massive troll. However, today people haven't been as happy with the level pick, as there's been a lot of discourse in the community on this pick by RobTop. Now, it isn't all bad. There is some good platformer news that RobTop has given out recently that I will cover later on in the video. However, we're going to focus on this daily for now, and the problem doesn't actually revolve around the level itself. It is more about its rating. As you can see, it is 10 moons because it is a platformer, and that right there is the discussion we're gonna have. A lot of people have pointed out that for the moon grinders in the community, this is a terrible day. And it's because RobTop has been quite controversial when it comes to how he runs the leaderboard, because these daily and weekly levels cannot be played again. Once they're done as the weekly or daily, you cannot get them ever again. This means that the 10 moons here you see from Level Devil, anyone who doesn't beat this level today, or in 8 hours from when I'm recording, is never going to ever be able to achieve those 10 moons. Sure, you can play the actual level on the servers and get 10 moons, but this is a separate 10 moons. Now, this doesn't really cause much discourse when it's just a normal classic level, because we're used to it by now. We've had hundreds, we've had thousands even, and people are just used to it, but this is pretty much the first time it's happened with platformer mode. A lot of people don't know this, but there was a platformer level at the very start of 2.2 that was put as the daily that was platformer, so this is technically only the second platformer to ever be daily, but it's pretty much, in people's eyes, the first daily platformer. And so there's a lot of people in the community that are saying, hey, this is just unfair for people. What if you're away on holiday or don't have internet that day, and they can't play the level, and then they just lose out on the leaderboard stat, and this affects platformer a lot more than classic? Because if we go to the top 100 moons, you can see that the top players only have 22,000 moons compared to the top players, which, as you can see, are in the 300,000s in star count. There isn't much of a difference between these people, so 10 moons literally sometimes makes or breaks your placement. Even with number 3 and 2, as you can see, there's barely any moons between them. This would put the gap to only like 2 moons if one of them was to beat to Level Devil and one of them couldn't as the daily. As you can see, a person here commented, I'm at a loss for words. Rob constantly goes 2 weeks without raiding a single platformer demon and decides, you know what's better? Making it so there's now unobtainable moons. Now it's inaccessible for anyone new getting into moon grinding after today. I'm just disappointed, honestly. Editing being here, I just wanted to say that the comment I just read out there was recently taken down by the poster, as they said that they were being a bit too aggressive with it, which I totally agree and understand. I think that this is a big issue, but we shouldn't like throw straight up insults at RobTop. However, I am gonna still use it in this video because they still agree with the points they mentioned, and I also agree with them, and they also pointed out that it's still a major issue and that we shouldn't act like it isn't. So, well, yes, the comment was taken down. It was just because they worded it in a pretty bad way, and I can kind of agree and see that it did seem pretty insulting. But yeah, just to stop any confusion if you go looking for this tweet. Anyways, yeah. Now, you might have not heard of people complaining about this, and that's mostly because the moon grinding community is very, very small. The platformer community is a much nicher group than, obviously, the classic play in GD, but this is still important because it is, in fact, affecting people who spend a ridiculous amount of hours and commitment on this game. Another person here commented, this has been an issue with stars for like 9 years as well. It's genuinely so goddamn frustrating how Rob keeps adding more limited time stats only to not add a feature where you can go and get those stats afterwards. The safe was a spit in the face to everyone who wanted that. And yeah, that does bring me on to the safe. And this is probably one of the most disappointing features RobTop has ever added, and it's another talking point that people brought up because of this scenario. As you can see, the safe lists a bunch of levels that have been the daily and the weekly. It is basically just a catalog so that you can, go back to play them. And this would be perfect because this means that, hey, people can get these moons and get these stars whenever now. It's not just a strict time event. And it's literally called the safe, so when this got added, why would we think that it wouldn't be that? However, sadly, the safe just links you back to the actual level. As you can see, I haven't played this one at all, but if we go to the daily, boom, it's right there. The safe could have actually fixed this problem, and instead, it's kind of just wasted potential sitting here. Now, I know the dailies and weeklies are like events in the community. A lot of people may argue that this is fine because they're supposed to be limited time. That's like the whole point of them. However, now that we have the event tab, there really is no reason for these to be locked to only getting stats within 24 hours or with a week with a weekly. Because the event levels last for multiple months. It isn't just like a day where, oh, I guess you couldn't play GD today, now you miss out on crucial stars. That's not the case with the event, and the limited time rewards are fine to miss, which is why I just really hope that at some point RobTop will change this to fix this feature. He's been ignoring it for a while. This has been a talking point for, as that guy said, 9 years. It affects the star grinders as well. It's just really sad to see people's efforts get wasted because they couldn't play one day. I know to a lot of people this won't seem that big of a controversy, but for star grinders, this can be pretty huge. As you can see, here's another person that's mad. Dude rates no platformer demons for 3 weeks and then makes it possible to permanently miss out on moons, screwing over any moon grinder that doesn't load the level. April Fools, everyone, yeah. So, the level itself is pretty fun. I like it. I like how it's a demon for the daily. It's a cool joke. However, I just don't think it was probably the best pick with the current state of how we get rewards for dailies and weeklies. But as I said, it's not all bad news because the platforming community has had some cool stuff happening to them. I know I mostly make videos on classic content, however I will point out that Delightful Climb recently got rated. This has been a top 1 for over a year and it's just never got a rate. So thankfully it finally got its recognition, and as a head mod of the P-Man list has said, they are looking to insta-place this very soon in the top 1 spot, so it's really cool that it's going to get the respect that it should deserve. And monitoring, another potential top 1, also got rated. This one was a lot quicker than last time. I actually made an interview with a player who created this recently, so it is really cool to see this get rated not too soon after. I really do think a lot more of her stuff needs to be rated because she is a super good creator with a lot of levels that really need a rate. But other than that, I don't really have much more to say on this topic, and I would love to hear your opinion in the comments below, because I know, to me, this sounds like something that RobTop should obviously attempt to do something about because it's affecting so many platformer creators and players. I do know that a lot of people will not want this. I know a lot of people think that the daily and weekly should still give extra stars because that's the only reason they play the levels, so the daily and weekly lose all meaning if they don't have special rewards. However, again, that's up for debate. Would love to hear your comments down below. And other than that, yeah, not too much to say. Peace.